Davos Seaworth is about to have a near-death experience involving cannibals riding unicorns, and dear God, I wish you could just take a break, sir. How do I know he's about to have a near-death experience involving cannibals riding unicorns? Well, it's because he has a near-death experience in every single book he appears in, and, well, sir is due. Now, before we get into the cannibal unicorn of it all, let's go over all of the near-death experiences that this poor man has to go through, starting with the Clash of Kings. Spoilers from a book that is exactly as old as Chapel Roan, cool? Now, Clash of Kings is probably going to be the most obvious one, because who can forget the Battle of the Blackwater, the big battle at the end of the book, at the end of, season 2 of Game of Thrones, where Stannis' forces, they go into Blackwater Bay, trying to invade King's Landing, but whoopsie, Tyrion has done some sneakiness. Now, the show only really shows half of the plan that Tyrion comes up with, which, it's a doozy. In the show, all you basically see is the wildfire. Wildfire gets, thrown, it's all over the bay, gets ignited, everything goes kablooey. Wow, look Tyrion go. But in the book, it's a little worse, because Tyrion has, beyond the wildfire, has spent the novel basically getting all the blacksmiths in town to forge this giant mesh chain whatever screen thing. A quick Google search has informed me that the word that I apparently can't think of is the word net. There you go. So yes, they are forging this huge net, basically. It's also called a boom, where the idea normally is that this is in the water, and then you raise it up, pull it taut so ships can't go through. But that's not what Tyrion does. Tyrion lets them go through, lets all the ships, gather in the bay, and then they pull it up. Then they pull it up so that when the wildfire goes off, the ships can't escape. Damn, sir. So anyway, poor Davos is on a boat. When this plan comes to fruition, he basically realizes it too late. He's like, oh shit. Then everything goes kaboom, and then he is in the water. Now, it's during this that Davos's, I think, 4 adult sons all get taken out in the wildfire of it all. It's very sad. He tries to escape, and his best chance is diving into the water, but this is his last chapter in the book, and so the last thing that we see from him is, he's in armor, and there's water, and he's fallen, he's getting pulled down, and oh, Davos is about to die, cut to black. Thanks, George. We really appreciate those wonderful photo finishes of yours that leave us waiting and wondering what the fuck is about to happen. But Davos doesn't die, don't worry. So cut to the next book. We are now in a storm of swords. Davos has somehow survived. He's survived in the water. Some people love to theorize that, hey, maybe a Merlin king or a drowned god or something helped Davos out. We don't know. All we know that he survives. He's shipwrecked on this little isle somewhere, and he's, starving to death. But then eventually he gets picked up by a ship. I believe it's one of the ships owned by his friend Salador San, and eventually he makes his way back to Dragonstone, which is Stannis' seat, with a plan. He's gonna take out Melisandre. And so he tries to do that, but Melisandre saw that he was gonna do that in the fire, and so they have him arrested and thrown in a cell, and Davos is, there and sad now, because he now realizes, oh, I'm about to die. I didn't get to off Melisandre as I had intended. This is not great. But eventually Melisandre shows up as hey, how about we call a truce here? Stannis isn't well, and I think that you could probably help out with that, because I can't keep making shadow babies with him, because every time I do, I'm really talented in that regard, and it really takes it out of him. So yeah, we can't do that again, because it will make him, stop breathing. Davos is fine, okay, yeah, no, I'm a really good guy, so I'm gonna go help, okay, cool. And so he does, and Stannis is really excited to have him back, or, as excited as Stannis gets, because Stannis is, Stannis. But the longer Davos is out there, he's hey, we're starting to do some stuff that I don't know that I quite agree with, and it revolves around Edric Storm, one of Robert Baratheon's bastards. Now, Edric Storm, is a bastard of a king, so he's got king's blood, and Melisandre is hey, I like having that, it's great for spells, and Stannis is yeah, maybe we don't, off my nephew, I'd really rather not do it. Melisandre's okay, but it would probably really help, all I'm saying. And Davos is can we just not, please, but no one cares. Now, eventually, things are dire enough that Stannis is yeah, no, I think we might need to do this. That's fair, Melisandre. Melisandre's yay, I get to do my favorite thing, woo! And Davos is fuck, what do I do? I don't want this kid to die. We gotta do something. So Davos eventually, comes up with a plan to smuggle Edric Storm and spirit him off away to safety somewhere in Essos, I think. But he does it, he pulls off the plan, it's all good, he uses his smuggling skills, and then, oh whoopsie, Stannis and Melisandre are really, really angry, because Melisandre doesn't get to do her favorite thing anymore, and Stannis is like, hey, we really needed to do the thing because we are in dire straits here. They're not, he's just, he's Stannis. And so, because what Davos has done is basically treason, he's like, hey, come here, I got a sword, I'm about to do it, we're gonna, boom. But Davos, doing some quick thinking, goes, hey, I'm learning how to read, and I was practicing on our correspondence that we get here at Dragonstone. Here's a letter from Maester Aemon where he's talking about a great danger in the north. Isn't this an important thing? And Melisandre and Stannis are like, actually, that might be a good point. Davos is like, yay, head, remaining on head. We love it. So that was Davos' second near-death experience. But don't worry, we're not done yet. Now, Feast for Crows, Dance with Dragons is like where we get a little wobbly with the series because that's technically one book, but it was split in two. So in A Feast for Crows, we don't actually get a Davos chapter. We don't get to see him, but we are told pretty unceremoniously about halfway through that he has been killed, that his head has been, and that his head and his hands have been basically like put on pikes on top of White Harbor, where the Manderleys live. And Cersei, who's just, told this information, is like, great, cool, we can let out Manderley's son because he kept up his end of the bargain, he's being loyal, cool, he can have his son Willis back. And if you read this back when this book came out and there was no Dance of Dragons yet, or the TV series, that must have been pretty frightening, I assume, because, I'm sorry, you just told me that Davos is dead? Like that? But he's not, don't worry. So what actually happens is Davos gets sent by Stannis to go treat with the Manderleys because he's trying to form an alliance with the other northern houses to help him now in his fight against the others, the White Walkers, cool. And so he has a time getting down to White Harbor. It's a mess. He has some kerfuffles along the way, but not really important, at least to our purposes here. But he finally gets there and tries to do some sneaking around because he's like, oh no, I think that these people are in league with the Freys, the Boltons, and the Lannisters. That's not great. And so he does some sneaky, but eventually he is found and he is very quickly imprisoned and is told he's about to die. Actually, I don't remember if he's told he's about to die, but eventually he gets pulled up in front of the Manderleys and everyone is there. There's all the Manderleys, there's all these Freys, and they're being weirdly chummy, which is odd considering the Freys just murdered a bunch of Manderleys at the Red Wedding. But Lord Manderley, who's huge, big, fat guy, he's so big he can't sit a horse, as George loves to point out, but he puts on a big show. He's like, hey, you're a traitor to the realm, we're gonna kill you, and the Freys are like, yeah, we're gonna kill you, woo. Davos is like, yeah, tell me something I haven't heard before, dude, come on. And then they're like, yeah, okay, take him away, you're gonna go, wallop the head off. And then they take him away, and he's like, okay, well, this is it, except nothing happens. He gets thrown back into a cell, but it's not a cell, it's quarters. It's really nice, it's a nice space, he's brought food, and he just stays there for a while, and he's like, what the hell is happening? This is bizarre. It's a fucking hotel room, practically. But then later, he gets pulled into a secret meeting with Wyman Manderley, and Wyman Manderley's like, hey, so sorry about all of this. They just had to think that you were dead, which they now do. Because we had another prisoner who we made look like you, we cut off some fingers, and then we and then that's the head that got put on the pike and stuff, and then we told Cersei so that she would release my son Willis. And also, we now know that Bran and Rickon Stark are alive, or at least they were, right as Winterfell was burned. Because we found this one Ironborn squire, his name is Wex, but he's mute, but we've taught him how to communicate by basically miming yes and no. I think he writes it or something. Poor kid doesn't have a way to communicate, so they've tried to teach him. But eventually they get out of him that Rickon and Bran are alive, and Wyman's like, hey, Davos, you're a stand-up guy, you're gonna go find him. And don't worry, we know where at least Rickon was headed because they were going to Skagos. Skagos, which is the island filled with cannibals and unicorns, purportedly. Now, are there actually cannibals and unicorns there? We don't know, but no one likes to go to that island because it's very remote, and they're afraid of the possibility of there being cannibals and unicorns. So Wyman's like, hey, Davos, I need you to go there, find Rickon Stark, and bring him back so that we can crown him king in the north because we are secretly against the Lannisters and the Freys and the Boltons. Also, have fun and try not to die. And Davos is such a nice guy that he's like, yeah, what's one more near-death experience? Cool, I'll do it for you. And with that, good night, bye!